यही मैं पूछ रहा था कि वेब डाइनो के लिए है ये।
जी, SE37 basically is your function builder. Okay, we will pull any function that we find right now and see what do we have. Okay, we have hook implementation, container, transport, entry point unit. We have something called SKF tables, FAGL. This is something related to FI change. Maintain in logon language. Logon language is English. Acha. And then we will pull this function in the program. We will pull this. Okay, now functions are basically what? They add a functionality. Again, if this is not understandable, it is perfectly all right. I just want to show you the structure. Okay. So a function is a part of another program that can be pulled in to execute another program. Okay. So if we try to contain the logic over here, if call control step is select. Now select is used when you are accessing database. Okay, so perform step select SKF tables. Okay, and tables are record tab using SHLP, changing help subroutine. If subroutine is 0, record tab is filled. Now to skip the standard selection, display is written as following step in. If there is no value, only display is then called up. So the call control step will use display mode if there is nothing in help subroutine. Else, call control step and it will exit end function. Simple, easy, short. So what we'll do, uh, let's try to get this into our SC38, which is ABAP editor. And this will be Z underscore 26th of May. And our batch is 47. T47 function pull. Okay. Create function pull. Then again, I am still repeating that this is, if this is not understandable, it's perfectly all right. Okay. I'm just giving you an example of the landscape of ABAP. Okay. Executable program and save local object. Okay. Now, here, this is where we write our program. Okay. Last time we wrote a program that was, if you remember, Abdul Malik, do you remember what we wrote in that? Because I can't recall that.
It's just a select statement, just a parameter,
Parameter.
nothing else, and we just output the values of your parameters.
Okay, outputting. Call function. And what was the name? Continue. Okay, now we have imported the function from um, from the function program. Okay. Now, if we have the values over here, we can give the values and we can execute the program. Okay. So, uh, or else, if I can actually delete this and I have a program, if I remember, I made that program more patron Z demo jam FM Z demo jam FM, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Continue. Oh, I guess it's not there. It's just not there. John. Something not there. No. So thing is, I just want to show you that you can how you can actually pull a program into your ABAP program, and we can have many uh, use cases. Like you want to write a pattern, you want to select from database, or you can call up a dialog. A dialog is used when in integration using T codes, or you want to change a T code. We can use use a dialog, or you can use it for input as well. Okay. Okay. Now let me just go to another transaction code and let me pull out if there is any project in the landscape over here. Then again, this is just a basic class package ZT45 change shadow is inactive. Okay. There is nothing in this program in this package. Enhancement assignments, no enhancements are there. That's the reason it is. There is nothing in this package. Package is basically a set of programs, functions that are in one place. Actual settlement. Where is that? Actual settlement of investment
Uh,
measures.
I have a. I'm sorry to jump in here, but I need to ask a question.
Sure.
When we are creating any program, any scripts in
Mhm,
SE38,
mhm.
I need to create a package because I need to put it my functions and even the
Yes.
class or inline
Mm.
parameters, inline data in that package. How I create a package, because I tried to create a package,
There is a different
I'm
model
not
that
able.
this is, I'll tell you, that's advanced part of the discussion, and we'll come later. We'll tell you how to make that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. Makes
Okay.
sense. Makes sense.
So coming back to our discussion, we have actually explored SE37 for functions, SE38 for ABAP programs. Okay. So thing is, uh, when we are actually building applications within ABAP, there are types of applications. Okay. What are the type of applications that we have? Reports or interfaces or conversions, right? And what else do we have? Any ideas? Extensions. Now, what are extensions? What are forms? Let me tell you. Reports are just simple report. Interfaces, basically, these are your key codes. Okay, your key codes. You want to add a field that is custom field that becomes an interface, or a set of fields that can become an interface. Conversions. Okay, this can be currency conversion, currency converters that you want to put, or maybe weight converters. Okay, or maybe you want timestamp for HR, for HCM. Okay, that is extension. Okay, sorry, conversion. Extension basically is that you want to pull legacy data or um, third party software data, okay, into extensions. Okay, that is extensions. Forms, yes, you want to input some data from POS, legacy software that is still being run by the company. Based on that, you actually also build forms. Okay. Now, I hope you get to know what are the applications. Okay. So, uh, speaking of another T code, let's go to another T code. That will be SC80. SE80. This is where you actually keep your everything over here: program, function, classes, um, package that you were talking about right now, Abdul Malik. Okay, so package basically is a collection of just everything, integration programs that we have over here. I can show you. So basically, an ABAP developer has to know everything in and out of a module. You cannot actually know everything about every module. So you have to master and specialize one module. So better you start with one module. Okay. Look, we have dictionary for tables. Okay, these many tables are there, and we have structures. Now, what are structures? That is a combination of programs and functions integrated together. Okay, so there is activity happening. There is programs that are running at many levels. I click one, and we have a structure. Structure can have a table, structure can have a program, structure can have fields and inputs. Everything can be there. But to decode and debug a structure is pretty much complicated than debugging a table or a program single-handedly. Okay. So we'll be discussing all of this. Now we are actually moving to another part of our discussion, which is the advanced next part. Okay. So that next part is what? Understanding the ABAP landscape. So first we had R3. Now what is R in R3? That is real time. And three is the three-tier structure. And three-tier structure is, what is that? Three-tier structure is,
application, database, and
yes,
runtime.
production, QA, and development. This is also three-tier. Plus, three-tier is also application, the middleware, and B. Uh, application and middleware are the same presentation. Presentation layer, application layer, the middleware, which actually resides in application layer, and the database. Okay. So programs are executed at, it is executed at DB level, DB server level, or at the client server, right? And one database is always assigned to production, testing, and development. Okay. Now, for example, let me show you in SAP. In SAP, if I go to SE11, what is SE11? This is ABAP dictionary. Okay. And if I use a table over here, which can be Mara. Okay, this is a material management, material level table. Continue. Now, what it does it have? This is general material data, client, character, and structure. So we have a structure within a table. Okay, and it has a structure will have many fields. Basically, if we click it, many fields. Okay, so its structure is actually having the complete landscape for this very table. So what is client over here? The client over here is not the business client, but basically it is this client, client 100. Okay. Now, speaking of client, we have development server. Under this, we will have a pure development landscape 100, pure testing of code, that will be 110, for example. And testing, after testing, we have to push the code. Push the code, the clean code after testing it, and that will be residing in 200. This 200 will then be pushed to the QA server, which will be the client 300. We'll start with 300. And under QA server, there will be testing server, there will be UAT server, there will be a golden. Golden is basically at the development level, but at UAT server, you have the config or the code server where clean code is residing. There is no data input in this clean code. So this testing server will be 310, UAT server will be 320, config server will be 301. Okay. So your team actually decides how to build a landscape of SAP within these servers. Okay. So speaking of presentation layer, let's go to the next level. Presentation layer. What is presentation layer? Can anyone tell that? What is a presentation layer? Thing is, the end user.
The front end.
The front end, yes. Front end, basically, the end user has to work with the presentation layer, and the presentation layer is maintained by application or executed by application layer, which actually is communicating with the server.
Database DB.
Database. Very good. Okay. So okay, let me show you how presentation layer is designed. Basically, presentation layer has options for Windows, for Java, for HTML, web. Okay. These are the options and categories that we have for the UI. And how to check that? To check that, we have SC93, transaction code MM01 or VF01 or VF02, change. Over here, what do we have? A package. A package will have a list of programs. The program that is running at the end of the backend of this transaction code is VF02 is this program. Now, what is VF02? Let me tell you that first. VF02. This is a transaction code for billing document. Now, what is a billing document? Billing document is used in sales. Okay. Let me tell you the process, and then it will be easier for you to understand. So I will actually pick any billing document. I will press enter. And over here, what do we have? Invoice, which is the number 9010. Pair is this. Who is the pair? This is a customer. Okay, the billing date is this. Net value is 500. The item is this much. This is the code of the item 119, and the description of it is raw material, which is the quantity 1 measured in EA, which is each. Yani one quantity is costing 500 that we have sold to this customer. Okay, so this is a billing document. And behind this billing document is the accounting layer, the accounting entries, and we have to see that. Okay, so what do we have? Controlling document, accounting document. Let's see what is the accounting document. Now, why I'm explaining this? Because you have to understand that the process of a document, how does it flow in SAP? From the billing document, we are here at the finance level where the customer is being issued a sales order or a PO, purchase order, where the revenue is being recorded and registered and the domestic customer is being debited. Okay. Even if you're not understanding it, doesn't matter. Uh, but you have to have a thorough understanding of the business, how it works. So you are selling something to the domestic customer. Okay. And that thing is the billing document, that material that is being sold. So coming back to SC93, now the process will be clear now. VF02 was our T code. Okay. The program that is executing the billing document is this. If I double click this, okay, over here we have include programs, because in this program, there are many other programs that will have been pulled in, and we can see that with this include syntax. It doesn't matter if you can't understand include syntax right now, we'll discuss it in very much detail. So we have multiple programs that are being actually executed by this very program, and this is a standard program. Okay. And we have many more uh, programs that are running inside this program. Okay. So there is no logic that you can see, because it is only pulling the programs from various, it is pulling all the packages from various sources to execute VF02. So talking about the presentation layer, it actually gives this transaction has support for HTML, Java, and Windows. You can run it on 3 platforms. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now, okay. Let me actually share with you a presentation. Uh, 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 just wait a minute. Okay. Now, since we had that discussion, SAP GUI, this is the presentation layer, and this is the application server, and below this is the database. We'll go to that discussion as well. So at application level, there is a dispatcher. Now, what is a dispatcher basically? It's basically its job is to get the request from the presentation layer and sort out those requests as tasks. And those tasks are then shared with work processes, which are temporary work processes. Okay. And these work processes execute the request, and it can be anything: show the billing document, to process the billing document, to post the billing document, to get the payment, to post the payment. These are work processes. And all of these work processes are actually sharing a memory. So what are work processes? Dialog requests, or a request to update data in database, or it can be background jobs. I will explain everything one by one. Pull request for print, or it can be logical. So what are work requests doing? They're doing all of these jobs. Route messages, funnel messages. Now, dialog request is that the user has actually asked to show values. So that will actually produce a dialog. Okay. The user is posting something, a document like a billing document or an accounting document. It will update it in the database. Background jobs. Now, what are background jobs? Now, background jobs are like this, that by month end, there are many invoices to be posted, like 300 invoices, which is difficult to post manually. So they will be upload programs. So there are invoices for vendor 1, there are 300 invoices for vendor 2, 500 invoices for vendor 3. So once you actually run an upload, it can be run using upload programs in the background, and the work centers, the work process can actually handle that. Okay. Spool request. You want to print a report? Okay, you can send a request through work process and it will be uh, issuing a spool. So what is a spool? Let me show you that. SM37. This is a job. Was net execute. There are no jobs. Username. Okay. SAP. No jobs. Okay. Let's see what other job. Specify username. I don't have username. Was net standard job selection. Okay. Default execute no jobs. Okay, but actually it actually shows and gives a list of jobs basically. Okay. Or let's see SM35. Yeah. Now there are jobs that can be actually run in the background or in the foreground. Okay. So these are the list of the jobs that are handled by work process. Okay. Route messages between application server in R3 and S4HANA. Application server is actually handling third-party software requests as well, and plus the presentation layer. So these messages are actually transported. Gateway. Now, gateway actually handles integration with third-party softwares. Okay, that is where work process actually handle that. Okay, so if you have understood the basic infrastructure, the landscape, it is very simple. There is an messaging server that is being handled at the application server. The gateway that is again integrating with third-party software, okay, the third-party machines. Internet communication manager, you are running SAP over the internet using mobiles, or maybe using Fury, or maybe you using another application. So Internet Communication Manager is separately programmed, and the ABAP dispatcher catches the request and it handles the jobs, the job request. And based on the nature of the job, the requests and the messages are basically handled to these work processes. Okay. So there is background jobs, update in the database, spool request, or authorization lock management, and so on. So messaging server, what it does, it actually handles communication between dispatchers, and it actually runs in parallel with the application servers. Now the gateway, it actually enables communication between SAP systems and external systems. Okay, so this is third-party softwares, POS systems, or wait machines, or attendance software. These are the systems that communicate with SAP. Internet Communication Manager, it actually communicates with SAP using HTTP. Okay, so ABAP guys have to program all of these layers, all of these components. Okay, so message server will be your area of expertise. Your gateways will be expertise area, and you will be programming internet communication managers as well as integrating it. So user context. Now, what is a user context? That is the memory allocated to a user when they are entering a document, a billing document, or a GL document. So there is a certain space that is allocated to a user. Okay, and that very space actually holds current settings and authorizations. What are these? Let me tell you that. SU01 was net SAP change. And what do we have over here? Groups, log on data, uh, defaults. Yes. Actually, when I am running a program or entering a billing document or whatever, it actually has some defaults which are fixed with my logon, like the date format or the time format or the decimal notation, because decimal notations can be different. We are using the English way, and there is a German way where decimals are used instead of commas. So these defaults are actually attached with my username. So that is what users current settings and authorizations is meant about. And groups basically roles. Now these are the roles. That means I can actually run transactions, multiple transactions, and these transactions are related to different modules. Okay. So these are user authorizations that are being stored at this level attached with this user. Okay. So and the name of a program that the user is currently running and how that is done FP03. Okay, let me see if there is a document 1010 document header. Now it actually tells logon system was this, okay, created by this user, okay, and it actually tells you when it was logged, what transaction it was referring to, on what date it was referring to. So this is an accounting document, but it is also giving a key code PF02 where it tells that it was an integration or integrated transaction. Okay. So now coming back again to the discussion, this is the presentation layer VF02. It is connected with the ABAP dispatcher using networks. So it has request queues, and those request queues are distributed with work process. So each work process has a set of infrastructure that is working inside the work process, and that set of component has an internal memory, a screen processor, an ABAP interpreter, a database interface. Now, this database interface is actually communicating with the database using SQL commands, SQL commands. Okay. The task handler basically is calibrating between different jobs. If a job is half done, it will shift here and then it will shift here and so on. It will keep the balance. And this is how uh, different transactions are actually executed using the user context. User context is that what I've actually shown, the user settings and authorizations and the program the user is using. Okay, the user must be using different applications. The task handler will be handling it. Database layer. Now, the database layer basically is kept aside where only SQL is allowed to communicate, and there is SQL a layer which actually communicates with the ABAP source code to access the database. Okay, so ABAP dispatcher actually communicates with the database using SQL. Okay, and it actually extracts some of the processed information from the database and kept at the server level. So these are the messaging that we've seen in the previous slide. Okay, these are the work processes that are being processed and being actually accessed at the database process if some data is being saved. So buffer actually helps to speed up the processing, and that can be customizing data, currencies, company codes, and so on. And now, how does database and ABAP communicate? It's either through native SQL. These are the commands. I mean, there is a different set of commands, or through open SQL, which uses a DB interface, because a DB has to have an interface to communicate, because itself database cannot communicate. And there's a local buffer again, which actually keeps some of the data pulled in for active work processes, and native SQL can directly or indirectly communicate with the database using layers. Okay, so ABAP programs are the root, the fundamentals of maintaining communication and um, executing programs. Okay, so and ABAP. So the thing is, the ABAP consultant is very central